Are you listening? Damn.
Joe Simpson, and Simon Yates were the first to scale the west peak of the Sula Grande, in the Peruvian Andes. Disaster struck on the way down, and Yates was forced to let a badly wounded Simpson drop 100 feet into an ice crevasse. Simpson survived the fall and spent 3 days crawling back to base camp. Robert Evans, this man survived being hit by car, and then by a train hours later. An early morning of September 2008, 46-year-old homeless man Robert Evans had a hit-and-run car accident, and while walking back from the hospital to his camp, he was knocked off a narrow railroad bridge into a creek by a train, surviving the second accident in 7 hours. Police said Evans was hit by the railing of a stairway on the side of the train. Aron Ralston, on May 2003, while Aron Ralston was on a canoeing trip in Blue John Canyon, near Moab, Utah, a boulder fell and pinned his right forearm, crushing it. After trying for 5 days to lift and break the boulder, desperation took him to great measures like carving his name, date of birth and date of death into the boulder, drinking his own urine because of lack of water and videotaping his last goodbyes to his family. Finally, a dehydrated and delirious Ralston decided to bow his arm against a chalk stone and snap the radius and ulna bones. Using the dull blade on his multi-use tool, he cut the soft tissue around the break. He then used the tool's pliers to tear at the tougher tendons. After Ralston was rescued, his arm was retrieved by park authorities and removed from under the boulder. It was cremated and given to Ralston. He returned to the boulder and left the ashes there. Truman Duncan, railroad switchman Truman Duncan fell off the front of a moving train car. He was swept underneath and cut in two. Despite losing both legs and a kidney, Duncan called the paramedics on his cell phone, survived a 45-minute wait, and then persevered through 23 surgeries. Roy Sullivan. Roy Sullivan was a Virginia forest ranger who had an incredible attraction to lightning, or rather lightning had an attraction to him. Over his 36-year career as a ranger, Sullivan was struck by lightning 7 times, and survived each jolt, but not unscathed. His 7th strike put him in the Guinness Book of World Records. His wife was also struck once, when a sudden storm welled up as she and her husband were out hanging wash on the backyard clothesline. On September 28, 1983, Roy Sullivan died at age 71, reportedly of a self-inflicted gunshot wound over troubles unrelated to lightning. Anatoly Bekkerski. This man survived a beam from a particle accelerator. As a researcher at the Institute for High Energy Physics in Protvino, Bekkerski used to work with the largest Soviet particle accelerator, the synchrotron U-70. On July 13, 1978, Bekkerski was checking a malfunctioning piece of equipment when an accident occurred due to failed safety mechanisms. Bekkerski was leaning over the piece of equipment when he stuck his head in the part through which the proton beam was running. Reportedly, he saw a flash brighter than 1,000 suns, but did not feel any pain. Bekkerski was taken to a clinic in Moscow where the doctors could observe his expected demise. However, Bekkerski survived and even completed his PhD. There was virtually no damage to his intellectual capacity, but the fatigue of mental work increased markedly. Andes survivors. On Friday the 13th of October, 1972, a Uruguayan Air Force twin-turboprop Fairchild FH-227D was flying over the Andes, carrying Stella Maris College's Old Christians rugby union team from Montevideo, Uruguay, to play a match in Santiago, Chile. The airplane soon crashed on an unnamed peak, later called Glacier of Tears, located between Chile and Argentina. 12 people died in the crash. Survivors not only had to withstand the hunger and the fearful mountains, but also 30° below zero temperatures during the night. Desperate owing to the lack of food and physically exhausted, they were forced to feed themselves on their death partners to keep on living. The continuous deaths of their partners and the bad rescue prospects, 2 of them decided to cross the huge mountains to reach Chile. On 22nd of December of 1972, after being isolated for 72 days, the world found out and knew there were 16 survivors that beat death in the Andes Mountains. Frane Selleck, this man escaped from a derailed train, a doorless plane, a bus crash, a car into flames, another 2 car accidents and then won $1 million lottery. It's a very long story about his incidents, that I can't explain you guys in a video, but what I can tell you is this: Selleck won the $1 million Croatian lottery, turning the man into either the world's unluckiest man, or the world's luckiest one. Vesna Billevich, on January 26, 1972, a Yugoslav Airlines DC-9 departed from Copenhagen for Belgrade, via Zagreb, with 28 passengers and crew. At an altitude of 33,000 feet, a bomb in the cargo section, planted by the Ustashi Croatian separatist group, exploded. The plane disintegrated and crashed on the mountains. 22-year-old Billevich wasn't even supposed to be on that plane. As she later stated in an interview, it was another Vesna who was supposed to be on that flight, but she was happy with the mix-up as it allowed her to make her first trip to Denmark. She ended up with a fractured skull, 2 broken legs, and 3 broken vertebrae. Tsutomu Yamaguchi. Tsutomu Yamaguchi just might be the luckiest man in the world, as he's one of the tiny handful of people to have survived not one but both of the American atomic bombs dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, bringing to an end to World War II. During that fateful summer of 1945, Mr. Yamaguchi was a 29-year-old technical draftsman designing oil tankers for Mitsubishi Industries in his native Nagasaki. Thanks guys for watching, hit the like button and subscribe for more. Peace.